Welcome back to the Leading Yourself podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today's episode is a bit of a reframe. You've probably heard the phrase, get 1% better every day. I've said it. I believe in it. I still do in many ways, but lately I've been thinking, what if instead of trying to get better at everything, we try getting 1% more curious? Not just about our goals, but about ourselves, our thoughts, our patterns, our choices, our joy. Because in my own life, curiosity has been one of the most powerful forces of growth. And today, I want to invite you into that shift. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. Let's be honest, we live in a world obsessed with progress, with productivity, with performance, with constantly becoming better. And I get it because I love growth. I really do. For my entire life, I've been the kind of person who thrives on goals. I've always believed in challenging myself, in setting the bar higher, in reverse engineering my dreams and going after them with focus and intensity. I still believe in all of that. I believe in becoming 1% better every day. But here's the but. Here's the shift that I want to talk about today. Getting better doesn't have to mean hustling harder or constantly pushing more. It doesn't have to mean ignoring how you feel just to stay on track. It doesn't have to be a grind. And the more that I grow and the more that I coach others through their own growth, the more that I realize this one thing. Curiosity isn't the opposite of productivity. It's not a replacement for disciplined. It's not a soft alternative for achievement. It's the key to making growth more sustainable, more enjoyable, and more aligned. In other words, what if becoming 1% more curious every day is actually what helps us become 1% better? Not instead, but alongside. I used to wake up thinking, how can I squeeze the most value out of this day? How can I maximize every minute across every task of my list? How can I keep moving forward? That mindset served me in a lot of ways. But over time, I started to notice something. I was improving my systems. I was producing more. I was achieving, but I wasn't feeling better. There were moments where I hit milestones and instead of celebrating, I jumped right into the next one. No pause, no breath, no checking in to ask, is that still what I want? It's like I was chasing growth for growth's sake, without even stopping to ask if the person I was becoming in the process actually felt like me. That's when I started to weave into curiosity and ask things like, what if I pause and ask why this goal mattered to me? What if I notice how certain habits actually make me feel? What if I gave myself permission to question the structure, not to throw it out, but to fine-tune it? And what I discovered was powerful. Curiosity didn't slow me down. It made my progress faster because I was focused on the right things. It made my system smarter because I understood what actually worked for me. It made the process lighter because I was no longer grinding just to prove something. I was growing because it felt aligned. So today's conversation, it's really about shifting from either or thinking to both and thinking. You can be a high achiever and be self-aware. You can pursue excellence and leave space for grace. You can get better every day and make it a process that feels more like you. And the through line that ties it all together, curiosity. Curiosity is what helps you notice the difference between what's working and what's just habit. It's what helps you adjust in real time. It's what makes your growth more intentional and less just performative. I keep using that word and I don't even know if that is a word, but you get the point. So if you've been feeling the pressure to always be improving and you're tired or overwhelmed or just a little disconnected, maybe the invitation today isn't to slow down or to let go of growth. Maybe it's just to get curious. Because becoming 1% more curious every day, that might be the most powerful way to grow. Not harder, but smarter. Being growth minded has always been part of who I am. I'm wired to pursue progress, to set goals, optimize, improve, and I'm not stepping away from any of that. In fact, I still believe deeply in becoming 1% better every day. That mindset has shaped so many of my habits, my career decisions, my routines. It works. But here's what I've come to understand. How we pressure that growth matters. There was a time where my approach was all gas, no brakes. I was optimizing every part of my life, my calendar, my workouts, even my rest time. I was productive, but I wasn't always present. And more than that, I wasn't asking myself why I was doing all of it. That's when I started to experiment with curiosity. And I know that word might sound a little soft or passive, but I promise it is not. Curiosity, when used intentionally, is a powerful tool. It's a mindset shift that keeps you agile and focused and learning. Here's what I mean. Improvement says, what's wrong and how can I fix it? Curiosity, on the other hand, says, what is going on here and what can I learn from it? One puts you in problem-solving mode, the other keeps you in growth mode. And the biggest difference, curiosity takes the pressure off performance and puts you in a mindset of observation. It helps you move forward just with a little less friction. Or a lot less friction. Now, let me share with you how I've seen that show up in my life. When I'm curious, I've noticed that I listen better, both to other people as well to myself. I notice patterns earlier, especially the ones that aren't serving me. I don't rush to force change. I look for what's actually driving my behavior. Let me give you a real example. Last week, on the very last episode, I share with you that I hit this point in my career that I felt something was off. I wasn't totally burnt out, but I was not fully energized either. I was still hitting the target, still delivering, still quote unquote on, but something felt disconnected. At first, my old me pushed harder, added more tasks, set new challenges, and that didn't quite work. But because maybe of the situation that we were in the middle of the pandemic, I paused and asked what's really going on. And what came up really surprised me. I kind of shared a little bit of this last week. There was this belief running under the surface that if I didn't stay in motion, if I slow down, people might stop seeing me as driven or capable. They might even question my ambition. And that belief, it was driving decisions I didn't even realize I was making. That's the power of curiosity. It helps you catch those invisible narratives and reevaluate them before they take you further down a path that doesn't actually feel aligned. Here's another way of thinking about it. When a kid is learning something new, like riding a bike, you don't criticize every wobble they have. You expect it. You make space for it. You cheer them on while they figure it out. But when it comes to ourselves, we expect precision on the first try. We judge the wobble instead of learning from it. Curiosity gives you permission to wobble, but with purpose. It's not about letting go of goals. It's about approaching them differently. It's asking questions like, what's working right now and what isn't? What felt off and what might be that telling me? What's behind this habit, this emotion, this reaction? I found that when I approach my habits, my routines, even my mistakes with curiosity instead of critique, I make better decisions. I adjust faster and I grow smarter. because I'm not just reacting, I'm learning. So here's the big idea for today. Curiosity isn't the opposite of growth. It's what makes growth sustainable. It removes the pressure to have it all figured out. And it helps you move forward with more clarity and confidence, not just more hustle. So maybe your challenge this week isn't to add another thing to your to-do list. Maybe it's just to start noticing what's motivating you lately. Where are you forcing progress that is not actually aligned? What do you need more of? Not to prove something, but to feel like yourself again. Because when you approach growth from curiosity, not just effort, you don't just get better. You get better in ways that last. So let's talk about real life. How do we actually become 1% more curious in our day-to-day? Because this can be something that only happens when you're on vacation or sitting on your journal or deep into personal development. If it's going to stick, curiosity has to live in the middle of your routine, in the chaos of school drop-offs, work deadlines, grocery lists, and emails. And the good news, it absolutely can. Let me give you a few ways that curiosity has started to show up in my daily rhythm. Not because I have it all figured out, but because I've been paying attention. So number one is ask better questions. You've heard me say this before, but it bears repeating it because it's the easiest way to shift into curiosity mode. We need to replace those judgmental or anxious questions we often ask ourselves with ones that open us up, right? Instead of shutting us down. So instead of saying, why I am so off today, try something like, what might be pulling my attention or energy today? Instead of asking things like, why do I always mess this up? Try, what pattern am I repeating? And what can I learn from it? So you can even use curiosity in conversations with others. Rather than assuming someone's reaction, ask, can you tell me more about how you're seeing this? What's underneath that for you? It can completely change the tone of the conversation and deepen your relationship. Believe me, it does. I have experienced it firsthand, and it's something that I keep working on because I am wired for problem solving. So this is not my nature, right? This is not my second nature. So I need to practice, and I've been practicing, and the more that I've practiced, the more that I've seen the benefits of making this shift. Number two is notice without fixing. This one's hard for me because, again, I'm wired to problem solve. I want to optimize, to improve, to streamline, but sometimes curiosity isn't about solving anything. It's about observing with intention. Sometimes you just need to take a deep breath during your day and just ask things like, what am I noticing right now? How is my energy? What's happening in my body? What's the vibe in this meeting? What patterns are showing up in this relationship? The goal isn't to jump to a solution. The goal is to get clear because clarity drives better action. Third example or third strategy is micro reflections throughout the day. You don't need a full-blown journal to reflect. If you're not someone who likes journaling, that's not what I'm talking about here. Try weaving curiosity into the in-between moments. On your commute, for example, ask, what felt good today? What felt hard? While you're brushing your teeth, what did I learn about myself today? Or after a meeting, right after the meeting, what energized me? What drained me during the meeting? These 30-second check-ins build self-awareness without adding another thing to your plate. And the more often you do them, the more in tune you become with your own patterns. Number 4, experiment without attachment. Curiosity thrives when you give yourself permission to try things with no pressure to succeed. I call these low-stake experiments. What's one thing you can explore this week just to see what happens? Maybe it's a new way to start your morning. Maybe it's a different route for your walk. Maybe it's a podcast totally outside of your usual podcast or type of podcast that you listen to. Maybe it's a new way of responding to a recurrent conflict. The key is to approach it like a scientist, not a perfectionist. You're not looking for the quote unquote right way, you're just collecting data. Let it be playful, imperfect. Let it be for the sake of growth, not for gold stars, not for having the best answer or the best solution, just as a data point, as an experiment. Number 5, use curiosity as a buffer when things go wrong. Let me tell you, this has been a big game changer for me. When something doesn't go the way that I want it to, maybe I react in a way that I'm not too proud of. Or sometimes something falls through at work, and my default used to be to panic and then shame, and then it got into this spiral. Now I try to interrupt that with one curious question. What's actually happening here? Sometimes I was overcommitted. Sometimes I hadn't eaten all day. Sometimes I needed sleep. Not a productivity hack. Curiosity has helped me respond with strategy instead of self-blame. It's given me the chance to pivot rather than spiral. Okay, number 6, zoom out and do it often. Because when you're caught in the weeds of your day, it's easy to forget why you're doing what you're doing. Curiosity helps you to zoom out, to ask things like, what matters most to me right now? Am I making decisions that reflect my values? This is a check-in I do frequently, especially when I feel like I'm spinning. It kind of recenters me. It brings me back to alignment in a way. And last but not least, number 7, get curious about joy. This is one we often skip, especially if we're wired to look for problems to solve. But curiosity isn't just for the hard stuff. It's also to amplify the good. So start asking things like, what moments today made me smile without trying? What gave me energy? Where did I felt most like myself? Then do more of those things. Joy leaves clues. Curiosity helps us to follow those clues. Curiosity isn't about having time, it's about choosing to pay attention. It's a mindset, it's a practice, it's a skill that you can strengthen every single day. And when you do, you lead yourself to more clarity, more honesty, more adaptability, and honestly, more calm. Because we're not just reacting to our lives, we are actively learning from it. And that is what growth actually looks like. Day by day, 1% at a time. Now, we cover all of these things. And now, as we start to wrap up today's episode, I want to share what curiosity makes possible. This is what I've learned. Curiosity helps improve relationships because you start to listen more openly. It strengthens resilience because you respond instead of react. It enhances your decision making. You get better insights before jumping into action. So now you can take better actions when you have more clarity. It also fuels creativity and innovation because you're no longer just doing what's familiar, but you're exploring what is possible. So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few questions. Maybe you journal, maybe you think about them while you drive or while you're on a walk or brushing your teeth. However you process, these are meant to meet you where you are. Just take a few minutes to reflect about these 3 questions. Number 1, where in your life have you been stuck in judgment when curiosity might offer a new way forward? Number 2, what's something that you've been trying to fix that just needs more understanding? And number 3, where can you be 1% more curious today about yourself, someone else, a situation you're in, whatever that is? Remember, this is not about doing more, it's about noticing more. No pressure, no hustle, just presence. Because curiosity, it's powerful. It turns your day into data, your resistance into insight, your routines into invitations. And over time, that 1% shift, it starts changing how you show up in your relationships, for your goals, the way you lead, and overall in your life. So this is the invitation this week. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to fix it all. Just stay curious. Let yourself wonder. Ask better questions. Listen to what rises up without rushing to control. You don't have to figure it all out today, but you do get to pay attention. And if you do so, you're already leading yourself forward. Okay, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me today, whether you're walking, commuting, or just sipping on your morning coffee. I hope this episode sparks something for you. If it did, I'd love to hear from you. DM me. You can find me as a Leading Yourself Podcast on Instagram, or you can find me also on LinkedIn. And if you can think of anyone who needs to hear today's message, please share it with them. It might help them navigate growth one small shift at a time. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep leading yourself forward. Okay, my friend, that's all I've got for you today. But before you go, 2 quick reminders. Number 1, if we're not already friends on Instagram, let's get connected. You can find me as Leading Yourself Podcast. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am incredibly grateful that you're in this journey with me. I want to leave you with one last thought. I want to remind you that you're destined for more and that every step that you take brings you closer to becoming that best version of yourself. Embrace each day as a chance to learn, grow, and chase your dreams. The world needs you to shine brightly, so go out and show up fully and authentically. Take care, and I'll see you next time.